Do you really need to be able to say no to your child in a way that they will actually listen to, but also with kindness? So, particularly to help them manage their big feelings about being told no. My name's Jodie Thornton, and today I'm going to talk about what it takes to really show our children that we have a boundary that can't be crossed, but we want to be really kind about it. We want to be really considerate and maintain our connection with our children even when we need to say no. So, this is a really important thing because it's so often that when we're trying to be connected with our kids, we find that there are things that we just need to say no to. And when we feel uncomfortable about that no, our kids sense it. And they don't know why we feel uncomfortable about the no. So basically, what they hear is, this is not solid, so I'm just going to push, I'm going to feel out whether I can push it a bit further. And this is even more intense for those families where we're trying to use respectful and gentle parenting approaches. And this is because our kids get an even more clear sense from us that we really care about what it is, about them getting what they want. And when we tell them in a really, really strong way, consistently over time, that we want you to get what you want, we care about what's important to you, when we have to say no, they're like, oh, no, no, I totally understand that you really want me to have what I want. And so clearly you just haven't understood how important this is to me. So I'm just going to keep pushing. Or alternatively, well, hang on a second, all these other times you told me you wanted me to get what I want, and now this time you don't? Does that mean you don't care about me? And so for both of those impressions, if our kids have them, they're going to have bigger feelings, they're going to be more upset and more likely to push and try and change the no into a yes. So in order for us to have a really confident and calm way to express our no, that will help our children to be able to accept a no, and it'll also help them to, if they're not going down one of those two paths, like clearly you don't understand how important this is to me, or alternatively, like, what has happened to you? Why do you not care about me today? Then those big feelings are less likely to come up. So if we think about what we need to say no about, our first port of call is to make sure that our children know that we actually want them to get what they want. So and you don't always have to use this step if you've got a good rhythm going with your kids where they trust that every single time you're saying no, there's a reason for that and they can talk about it if they need to, but otherwise they understand and acknowledge your no. Then you can skip this step. But while you're learning to put this into place, make sure that you start here. And so what we want to say is, basically how you understand what's important to them and that you really want them to get it. So, I really get that you want to have ice cream for birthday dinner because it's your birthday and you really want to choose. And you see how in there I'm not going but I can't, like I'm just acknowledging this is what you want and I understand why you want it. And you see I'm genuinely expressing that I would give it to them if I could. And this is sometimes a bit of a tricky space because sometimes people will see that as it's almost like a false statement that I would give you ice cream for dinner if I could is a false statement. But if there weren't health complications or if there weren't behavior complications or lack of sleep complications for you giving them ice cream for dinner, you would do it. Like honestly, whenever we're saying no, there's a reason why we're saying no. We're not just saying no because we want our kids to, understand the world. I mean, the reality is they're going to get plenty of no's in their life. They don't need us to create artificial no's for them to get used to it. So really, it is true. We want them to have what they want. And you'll notice that when I acknowledged in that ice cream for birthday dinner example that I picked up that the reason it was important is that they wanted to choose. So you might say it differently if it was that they're really tired, or if you know there's some other reason why they want to go down that path, acknowledge like why is it important to them. Once you've done that, if they are arguing with you in that space, like if you haven't quite got it right, let them articulate to you what's going on. Allow them to actually say, no, no, that's not my issue. My issue is this. And then once you're clear, like you know it, and you really want to give it to them, the next step is to say why you can't. So instead of saying, I'm saying no, which in certain circumstances is a good statement to say, but in this case, what we first want to say is why. It's like, I really want you to have ice cream for dinner on your birthday. I'm worried that if we have ice cream for dinner, you will not be able to go to sleep because it has so much sugar in it. Now, you replace that with what is your real reason. And sometimes it takes us a minute to work out what our real reason is. And this can actually be part of the reason why saying no is uncomfortable for us, because we have an autopilot of what we should say no and what we should say yes to. But when we really unpack it, we realize that there wasn't actually a great reason for us saying no. Actually, I just said no because I was on autopilot. And so using this process can be a really great way of breaking down that autopilot and replacing it with more intentional relating to your child. So here, what we're really saying is, this is why I need to say no to you. And so if we think about some of the common ones where we end up off track with what the real reason is, it might be you need to clean up because you need to be responsible for yourself. Well, that's kind of abstract, conceptual language. It doesn't actually mean anything. Like, sure, everybody needs to be able to clean up after themselves, but people get cleaned up after as well all the time. Like, why can't I have that right now? What is the real reason? No, I can't leave your Legos on the floor because it stresses me out when I need to relax and the room is messy, and I need you to clean it up because I've been doing the dishes and the laundry and all these other things and I'm really tired now. So you're giving the real reason, like what is the real reason that you need to say no? And then finally, you want to allow them to like negotiate or problem solve, and only if you have the time and space. So when I say that, it's like if you say no, I can't give you ice cream for dinner because it's too sugary and therefore you won't be able to stay up all night, you won't be able to go to sleep on time, then they might come back with another option. If it's truly about needing to choose, they might come back with an option that's not sugary. And then your no might become, well, that doesn't have any sugar in it, but it also doesn't have enough nutrition to keep you full through the night, or some other reason, right? But the whole time, you're not trying to convince them to go with your way. What you're trying to do with a no is to say, this is my boundary. If you can find a way to help us figure out how I can handle my boundary and have a better option, you are welcome to. Like, if they can find a way that meets all your needs, then we want them to do that. And quite frankly, they have so much more time, so much more energy, so much more creativity. Let them come up with better options, right? But don't give up on the things that are important to you. If it's nutrition, if it's their sleep, if it's respect, like whatever the issue that's important to you, we don't let that go. We just say, these are the reasons why I can't go ahead with what you want. What other options do you have? So when I say only if you have the time and space, if you are talked out for the day and you are not, like, more words is just not a thing, you say next time it would be great if we can come up with a different option. I cannot talk about this any longer. I need a rest from talking. If you don't have, if you're finding that the more they negotiate, the harder you're finding to keep calm, you might say, look, I really can't negotiate anymore. I'm starting to get agitated. I've tried really hard, but this is not working. If you don't have time because it's time to go, say that. You're trying to find a better way, but we actually need to get in the car right now. Next time, we can work it out. Or when we get in the car, we can talk about an option for next time. So the whole time you're being kind, but you're not letting go of that no. Now, there's nothing to stop you from letting go of the no because on this particular time you're too tired or too frustrated, or you actually see that the reason behind your no is a little bit flimsy and actually you would rather go with them, with their plan. That's okay. That's not a problem, but you're doing it from a place of, I'm choosing for this reason. I'm choosing to go with their option because actually my no is pretty flimsy in terms of rationale. They've got a really good, it's not going to be that big of a deal. I'm happy to go with their plan. That's okay. But when it is something that's important to you, Don't let go of that no just because it's a difficult conversation to have. So, if you followed that path, it can take a few times for them to actually hear you. Whenever they assume that you're going to not consider their perspective, they may actually not even take in what you've got to say, because in their mind it's like, this is what happens when she says no, and I'm just not going to get my way because she just doesn't care about me. Or I just need to keep talking to her because she clearly hasn't understood how important it is to me. Whatever that angle is, if they get a sense that we're going down the old pathway, they are not going to hear you. So you need to give this a good couple of practices. Now, once you've done that, if you're in the habit of actually giving them these kind no's and it's not working, and what's happening is that they just get overreact, like there's massive big feelings about I'm not getting what I want or I'm not getting what I asked for, particularly if they're getting upset at you, like, you know, you don't care about me, you're a terrible mother, like all those kind of things that are hurtful. And even if they're less hurtful, but it's just like as soon as you say no, they just run off and have a cry, or they get really upset. Anything in that space of like big feelings about receiving a no, then once you kind of practice this and you know that your technique is pretty good, doesn't have to be perfect, but it's pretty good, then the next step is really looking at how do you hold space for their big feelings. So if that's something that you need to focus on with your child, my next webinar is called Helping Little Children Handle Big Feelings, and you can register for that at jodithornton.com/feelings. And in that webinar, we're going to be talking about once they're having that big reaction, we want to hold space for those feelings and help them to come back into a space where they're able to feel the feelings but not be overwhelmed by them. And so then they can keep talking to you about it. So whether that's accept the no and move on with their day, or whether that's keep problem solving to find a better solution, whichever is necessary, we can get there if we can keep their big feelings out of overwhelm. So they might be upset while they're talking to you about it, but once they hit into that overwhelm, it's just very difficult for them to problem solve, or even to accept that this is just a no that we're not able to get through right now, and I'm just not going to get what it is that I was wanting. So if that's something for you, I'll leave the registration link for that in the comments to this video. And please do, as always, please do leave a message in the comments box with any questions you have about how to do this or where you get stuck. And I'd really love to hear if you go ahead and try it, whether you get stuck and you need some help, or whether it works really well and you're really enjoying this new way. I would really, really appreciate hearing if you wanted to come back and pop in the comments of the video. Thanks so much for watching.